Welcome to a new video from Real Bonds. If this is your first time here, this is your space for soul medicine, where we talk about real relationships without filters or fairy tales. They had been together for 3 years. Everyone said they were the perfect couple. He had already bought the ring. But there was something, 5 things actually, that he chose to ignore. Today, 5 years later, he tells me, "I wish I had seen the signs before committing. I would have saved myself years of hell." And he's not alone. According to research from Harvard University, 67% of relationships that end in difficult divorces showed these same 5 signs before commitment. But nobody saw them, or nobody wanted to see them. If this content resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Every week, we upload content that can change the way you understand relationships. And believe me, what you'll discover today could save you years of suffering. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the 5 most ignored red flags in relationships. I won't talk to you about obvious infidelities or clear abuse. I'll talk to you about those subtle patterns that destroy relationships from within. Signs that, if you learn to identify them today, can completely change the course of your life. I've studied research from institutions like Harvard, Cambridge, and UNAM on relationship patterns. And there's something that all these studies confirm. Relationships that fail after commitment were already showing toxic patterns much earlier. The problem isn't that the signs weren't there. The problem is that we were looking in the wrong direction. Because you've been taught to look for the obvious red flags, infidelities, blatant lies, physical aggression. But the most dangerous signs are the subtle ones, those that you justify with phrases like, "Nobody's perfect," or "Love conquers all." And it's precisely that justification that traps you. The first red flag is the one most men ignore, thinking it's proof of love: excessive jealousy. And here's a truth nobody tells you. Excessive jealousy is a sign of the peace you'll have in a formal relationship. Watch out for that. At first, it sounds romantic. She's jealous because she loves me. She gets jealous because she cares. But jealousy isn't love. Jealousy is insecurity disguised as concern. And that insecurity, that becomes your problem. Imagine this. You go out with your friends. Your phone won't stop buzzing. Who are you with? Why aren't you answering? Who's that in your story? At first you give in. It's normal, I matter to them. But little by little, you stop going out. You stop posting. You stop living. A study from the University of Cambridge analyzed 1,200 couples over 15 years. The finding was striking. Relationships where one of the two shows pathological jealousy from dating have 8 times more likelihood of ending in abusive control after marriage. 8 times. Because excessive jealousy always escalates. Today, it's "Who were you talking to?" Tomorrow, it's "I don't like your friend." The day after tomorrow, it's "Give me your social media passwords." And before you realize it, you're justifying every message, every outing, every breath. Now contrast that with a healthy relationship. In a healthy relationship, there's trust. Your partner doesn't need to control your phone because they trust you. They don't need to know your location every minute because they trust you. They don't feel threatened by your friends because they trust you. Dr. Robert Leahy, an expert in pathological jealousy, explains it like this. Excessive jealousy doesn't protect the relationship. It destroys it because it turns love into surveillance and your partner into a prisoner. And look, I'm not talking about occasional jealousy. I'm talking about patterns. If your partner constantly checks your phone, if they get upset every time you go out with friends, if they question every conversation with the opposite sex, it's not love, It's control, and control disguised as love is the most dangerous trap. Ask yourself this: can you live your life without having to give constant explanations? Can you have friendships without it generating conflict? Does your partner trust you without needing surveillance? If the answer is no, excessive jealousy is a sign of the peace you will not have in a formal relationship. The second red flag is the one most people ignore: unilateral negotiation. And I'm not referring to your partner being obviously selfish. I'm referring to something much more subtle, and for that very reason, much more dangerous. Imagine this. You want to spend the holidays with your family. Your partner wants to go with theirs. What happens? If you always end up giving in, adapting, postponing your needs, that's the sign. A study from the University of California revealed something shocking. Couples where one person systematically gives in more than 70% of the time have 5 times more likelihood of ending in chronic resentment after marriage. Why? Because love doesn't negotiate alone. Love builds together. But here's the subtle deception. Your partner probably isn't a conscious villain. They've simply learned that you always give in, and you've learned that keeping the peace means silencing your needs. That's not love. It's an imbalance disguised as harmony. Dr. John Gottman, who has studied more than 3,000 couples over 40 years, says it clearly. In healthy relationships, both parties feel that their needs matter equally. Notice that word, equally. A real negotiation sounds like this. This year, we go with your family. Next year, with mine. A unilateral negotiation sounds like this. You know my family needs me, you understand, right? Do you see the difference? In one, there's mutual construction. In the other, there's emotional manipulation. Ask yourself this. In the last 6 months, how many times has your partner changed their plans for yours? How many times have you changed yours for theirs? If the answer is consistently asymmetric, you have your second red flag. The third red flag is devastating because it comes packaged as love, criticism disguised as help. And it's so effective because it makes you doubt yourself while you believe your partner only wants what's best for you. It sounds like this. I'm telling you because I love you, but you should dress better. I'm only giving you my opinion because I care, but your friend is a bad influence. Do you notice the pattern? There's always a declaration of love, followed by a criticism of who you are. The University of Washington conducted a longitudinal study over 20 years. The finding was striking. Relationships where constant criticism disguises itself as concern have the highest rates of deteriorating self-esteem in the criticized person. Because the mechanism is perverse. Your partner makes you feel that there's something fundamentally wrong with you, but that they love you despite those flaws, and you start to believe it. Now contrast that with real love. Real love sees you whole. Real love says, I love how you think, even when I don't agree. Real love doesn't need to change you to love you. Dr. Kristin Neff, an expert in self-compassion, explains, a healthy relationship makes you feel more yourself, not less. If you constantly feel you must change fundamental aspects of who you are to be loved, you're not in a growth relationship. You're in an erosion relationship. The test is simple. Do you feel more confident in yourself since you've been with your partner, or more insecure? Do you trust your judgment more, or do you constantly question it? If every day you feel less yourself, that criticism for your own good is destroying you. The fourth red flag is deceptive because it sounds romantic, the abstract future. Your partner talks about the future, but always in vague, ambiguous terms, without real commitment, and you interpret it as hope, but it's not. It sounds like this. Someday, we'll have children. When we're ready, we'll move in together. Eventually, I'll introduce you to my family. Do you notice the pattern? Everything is eventually. Someday, when, if. It's never now. It's never concrete. A study from Stanford University followed 800 couples over 12 years. The finding was clear. Relationships where one of the two avoids concrete commitments about the future have triple the probability of ending in what researchers called prolonged emotional limbo. What is emotional limbo? It's that state where you're committed, but your partner keeps all options open. You plan your life around the relationship. They plan their life with escape clauses. The specific sign is this. When you try to have concrete conversations about the future, does your partner commit or evade? When you propose specific timelines, is there agreement or resistance disguised as "I don't want to pressure us"? Ask yourself, if today you ask your partner, "Where do you see us in a year?" Specifically, would you get a clear answer or an evasion? If mentioning concrete timelines generates tension, your partner isn't decided, and someone undecided shouldn't receive your definitive commitment. The fifth red flag is the most revealing about the future. Disconnection after conflict. It's not the conflict itself that destroys relationships. It's what happens after the conflict. In toxic relationships, after a conflict, there's a pattern. Prolonged silence, calculated coldness. Your partner withdraws emotionally as punishment, and you end up being the one who repairs, who apologizes, who reconnects, even if the original problem was theirs. The University of Denver studied this pattern over 11 years in 300 couples. They called it withdrawal punishment. Couples where one of the two uses silence as a weapon have 6 times more likelihood of ending in divorces full of resentment. Why is it so destructive? Because the subliminal message is this: if you contradict me, if you have needs, if you generate conflict, you'll lose my love. It's conditional love in its purest form. And conditional love isn't love, it's control. Now contrast with healthy relationships. After a conflict, there's active repair. Your partner doesn't withdraw, they approach. They don't punish, they resolve. Because in mature relationships, conflict doesn't break the connection, it strengthens it. Dr. John Gottman identified this as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in relationships: stonewalling. When your partner emotionally disconnects as a response to conflict, they're raising a wall, and every time it happens, that wall gets higher. The specific sign is this: after an argument, how much time passes before there's genuine reconnection? And more importantly, who initiates that reconnection? If it's always you taking the first step, you're with someone who uses your need for connection as a power lever. In healthy relationships, after conflict comes the conversation. How can we handle this better next time? There's learning, there's evolution, there's team. These 5 red flags rarely appear alone. They usually intertwine, creating a system where you constantly give more than you receive, change more than you're celebrated, wait more than you're promised. And here's the most important thing you need to understand. These signs are not communication problems. They're not personality differences. They're fundamental patterns of inequality in the relationship. And patterns don't change with a ring. They deepen. The question you should ask yourself isn't, does my partner have these signs? The question is, how many of these signs have I been justifying? Because that's the real problem. Not that the signs exist, but that you've normalized them. Nobody's perfect, you say, and you're right. But there's a difference between imperfection and dysfunction. Imperfection is occasionally forgetting important dates. Dysfunction is never respecting your boundaries. Imperfection is having a bad mood some days. Dysfunction is punishing you with silence every time there's conflict. But I love them, you say, and I understand. But love isn't enough. Love without respect is abusive. Love without reciprocity is one-sided. Love without concrete commitment is fantasy. Love with excessive jealousy is prison. Dr. Sue Johnson says something powerful. Love isn't just a feeling. It's a series of repeated actions that create emotional safety. Actions. Repeated. Safety. If your relationship doesn't make you feel emotionally safe consistently, what you have isn't love. It's anxiety with moments of relief. And I know what comes now is the hardest. Deciding what to do with this information. Because now, you can't unsee the signs. Now, you know. And knowing the truth forces you to choose. If you decide to stay, then these signs become mandatory conversations before commitment. Not "we'll work on that later," now. Before signing a permanent commitment with patterns that are eroding you. And if you decide to leave, you're going to need courage. Because everyone will tell you you're exaggerating. That relationships require work. And yes, healthy relationships require work. But they shouldn't require you to constantly betray yourself. Leaving doesn't mean the time invested was wasted. It means you learned to identify what you don't want. And that knowledge is invaluable. Because the next time someone shows you these signs, you'll recognize them. Ending a relationship before commitment isn't failure. It's wisdom. It's honoring yourself. It's recognizing that you deserve more than half-hearted love, more than vague promises, more than jealousy disguised as love. You deserve partnership, reciprocity, certainty, trust. Here's your task. For the next 2 weeks, observe your relationship with these 5 patterns in mind. Don't justify, don't rationalize, just observe. Because the numbers don't lie, the patterns don't lie. And after those 2 weeks, ask yourself the crucial question. Do I feel more loved and valued in this relationship than I felt alone? It's not whether you love, it's whether you are loved. Concretely, consistently, without control. Because the right person won't make you doubt if you're enough, won't make you chase clarity, won't be jealous to the point of controlling you. The right person will make you feel that love is something you build together, not something you hold up alone. And if the person you're with requires you to ignore these 5 signs for the relationship to work, then they're not the right person, no matter how much you love them, no matter how long you've been together. The signs are there to protect you. You have one life, just one. And every day you spend in a relationship that requires you to betray yourself is a day you don't get back. The time lost with the wrong person is the opportunity cost of finding the right person. You don't have to make a decision today, but you do have to stop lying to yourself. Because every day you justify these signs is one more day you build a future on a fragile foundation. Red flags aren't flaws in your love. They're information about your partner's capacity to be a true partner. And that information, that's gold. Use it. You deserve a relationship where you don't have to guess if you matter, where you don't have to always give in, where you don't have to justify every message, where the future is clear, where after conflicts, there's reconnection. You deserve trust, reciprocity, certainty, peace. And if the relationship you're in can't give you that, then you deserve to find one that can. Because staying doesn't make you loyal, it makes you complicit in your own suffering. The signs are there. They always have been. The question is no longer whether you see them. The question is, what are you going to do now that you've seen them. Your future depends on how you answer that question. If this video helped you see something you needed to see, leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. Every week we upload content about real relationships without pseudoscience, only truths you need to hear. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any video. Leave me in the comments. Did you identify any of these signs in your relationship? Which one impacted you the most? Your experience could help someone else who's going through the same thing. See you in the next Real Bonds video. Remember, your clarity is your power.